terms of how many games there will be. There was obviously the 8 that were before. We're not sure if that's going to change. How much did that come into your consideration, the fact that you might have less warm-up matches?
Not at all. I mean, we're pretty confident that we will have the 8 matches. They're still waiting to sign off the tour agreement finally. I think it's pretty close to that getting finalised, just the finer details of that, and then hopefully we've got the schedule. So we think that potentially the first couple of games may be up in Gatland, and then the first 3 games and 3 games around Cape Town, and then maybe the second and third test back up in Joburg. So definitely not looking at less number of games in terms of the preparation. So none of our thinking came into that.
Great, thanks. We'll go to Sarah Orchard next.
Hi there, Warren. Congratulations on naming your squad today. It's been quite the build-up. Can you just talk us through your memories of the 2009 tour being forwards coach, and how much the physicality of those tests has actually influenced your selection decisions yesterday?
Yeah, quite a significant influence. So I think if we look back, probably the last couple of tours in particular, definitely in 2017 with the reduced number of games. So those tours were more matches, but now it's just, and in previous tours, you probably had 2 or 3 games where I would say perhaps easy, lesser opposition, so not quite as challenging. So you could probably rest players a little bit and have a little bit of a down week. But now it's just full on. But if I think back to 2009. We didn't play any of the South African players in the lead up to the test match, and so we'd run and played pretty well and had won those lead up matches, and we probably went into the first test reasonably confident from where we were, and then all of a sudden we came up against the test players in that first test, and we got a little bit of a hurry up in terms of the physicality that they brought, and looking the first half of that first test against South Africa, we made changes in the second half and got back into the game. And in the second test, we made changes in our type 5, and it was a close encounter. So, look, I've definitely learned from that experience. It's probably the same thing's going to happen again, is that South Africa will be in a bubble, and we won't come across those players in those lead-up and those warm-up games before the test series. So, yeah, look, definitely past experiences and having played against South Africa on a number of occasions, we're pretty confident we know what's going to come, but what a massive challenge it's going to be for us.
Great, thank you, Sarah. We'll go to Beth Fisher now.
Hi, Warren. Louis Rees-Zammit has lit up the Six Nations. He's the envy of many national coaches. How pleased are you that you're having him on tour and he joins the likes of Halfpenny and Hogg as a 20-year-old, something making his British and Irish Lions debut?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting for him, and I think it's his try-scoring ability and his finishing. I don't think he's a finished article, and we've seen him improve during the Six Nations, and that's what's exciting about him as a youngster. We think that going on tour, being around the best players in the British and Ireland, he's going to continue to develop and get better, and so there's a huge amount of that potential. That's what's exciting about having someone like that, and so we're looking forward to having the opportunity to work with him and see him come on and in a position where there's lots of options and a lot of strength and depth.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We go Neil Treacy next. Apologies if I pronounce people's names wrong.
No worries. Hi, Warren. Just from an Irish point of view, how difficult was it to leave out someone like Johnny Sexton, who you would have been involved with on 2 previous tours as well?
Look, there's no doubt that was one of the toughest decisions that we had to make. And I've got a huge amount of respect for Johnny and his quality. But it's such a pivotal position for us, and it's about sending a message to the 10s that we have selected, that we have the confidence and belief in them to do a job. And when we looked at it, where we were going in South Africa, and probably the thing that kept coming back to us was Johnny's durability and being able to put a string of matches together consecutively and big matches together He's been rested on a number of occasions, and that, unfortunately, that's possibly what swayed it for us in terms of that. It's not having the confidence that he can get through what's going to be a tough physical tour.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks. We're going to go Darren McRae next.
Afternoon, Warren. In terms of the 8 Scottish players included, how much of that is down to their performances for Scotland as opposed to having 2 Scottish coaches as part of your team?
Oh, it's definitely part of. It's a massive part in the last year or so. And 2 big wins away from home against England and France is, for me, which was pretty important. Let's not get carried away by the influence of the Scottish coaches too much. It's about picking the best players. In 2009, we had Ian McGeechan, who's pretty Scottish himself, and I think we only took a couple of Scottish players to South Africa in 2009. So, look, it's about. I'm absolutely delighted because for me, I thought this is the closest Six Nations that I've seen that any team on their day, or 5 teams on the day, are all capable of beating each other, and I think that's reflected in the balance between the nations in terms of the players that we have selected. So I don't look at the national there or count the numbers up until we've finished finally selecting the squad, but it's pleasing that there is a balance and a representation, more representation from Scotland. It's something that I have stressed about it, but it's about them performing, and I think in the last couple of years they've started to do that as a team, and hopefully they continue to do that, and those players do come on tour and acquit themselves well as Lions.
Thank you. Can I ask if you've asked the question already, just to turn your video off as well so we can see who's left in the gallery. Sinead, I'm going to come to you next, but if you've asked the question already, if you could turn your video off as well, that'd be great.
Hi, Warren. How are you? You mentioned Johnny Sexton already. What was your thinking behind also leaving out James Ryan and including Bundee Aki?
Look, there's a lot of tough calls, and James was pretty unlucky. So for us, it was getting that balance right. With our second row and back row options and cover in certain positions as well, and players being able to play either second row or back row. So look, James is unlucky. I thought we saw an example for me on last weekend with Leinster against La Rochelle, and if you want to have a look at a match, probably. The La Rochelle side kind of reminded me of what we're going to face in South Africa. We're going to face big physical men, and we saw that with Skelton. We saw that with how direct they were in terms of coming off 9. And probably in the last couple of years with Leinster and a couple of those big games, I know they were really good against Exeter. We saw in that weekend, and we probably saw 12 months ago against Saracens in the European match where people have really gone pretty hard at them physically up front, and that challenge. And for the Bundee situation, I thought that combination of Bundee Aki and Robbie Henshaw was outstanding for Ireland against England, and we've got to be able to have that balance between the physicality that they bring and also the ability for us to play rugby, and I think both of those players have got that. They can mix it and be able to roll their sleeves up when it does get tough, but they've also can play some pretty positive and very attractive rugby also.
Can I go to Duncan Beck next, please?
Hi, Warren. Another selection question. What is it about Sam Simmonds that you like? And conversely, what was it that counted against Carl Sinclair on this occasion?
What I like about Sam Simmonds, having watched him, looking at South Africa, you have to have players, and particularly in your forward pack, that just don't put the ball under their arm and run hard and straight. You've got to have, players with footwork, and I think Simmonds has got that. He's got pace. Faletau's definitely got footwork as well. So you need something. It's not about trying to match them physically. You've got to have players who can do that, but you've got to be able to bring some variation in terms of your attacking options. And Simmons, from shorter line outs and the way that Exeter use him, he's got that variation where he's got the pace and sort of variation in terms of some of their line out options they use off the back of the scrum. He scores tries, so look, really excited about him getting that chance. And Kyle was very unlucky. We spoke about that. Looked at a couple of the tight head options there and went for Andrew Porter because his versatility, being able to cover both sides. So really tough call on that. But we're pretty happy with the balance that we've got at the moment.
Thanks, Warren. Cheers.
Thank you. We're going to Kenneth Davis. Hopefully
that is, Kenneth Davis, Warren, BBC Wales. The nature of these Lions squads obviously mean that big names miss out. From a Welsh perspective, this time, none more so than probably Jonathan Davis, man of the series in New Zealand, misses out this time, as well as Josh Navidi in the back row. Can you just touch upon those two, the thinking, how close they were, and how difficult it was perhaps to leave those two out? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really challenging squad. I mean, you make a good point about players that have been left out, and all the players that have been left out, if you select them, then you're going to get the same question from someone else about who's been left out. I've got a lot of time for Josh Navidi, and he's had a shoulder injury. He comes back in the middle of June. And for us, it was about looking at our loose forwards and picking a squad that we knew was going to get on the plane and be fit and have games under their belt. So, it was a really tough call. And for Jonathan Davies, he was playing during the World Cup with an injury and came back from that. And he's come back. I thought we started to see some of his old form during the Six Nations, but it's probably taken him a little bit of time. And again, it was a tough call from us. He was absolutely outstanding in 2017, but this is 4 years later, and tough on them. But he's got that experience that the same as a number of players that there's no doubt we're going to pick injuries up before we get on the plane to South Africa. We may get injuries out there, and we've got players with experience who can potentially be called up if that does happen. So it's trying to get a balance between taking a squad that's fit at the moment and knowing that's going to have some rugby, and then players that that we feel can do a job for us, particularly at this current time.
Cheers, Warren. Thank you.
We go to J Sports now.
Yes, for the test match against Japan. This is a historical match for Japan. What that's meaning to your team, and I think that's going to be the first match to start the campaign. How important is that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited about playing Japan. The way that their rugby's developed from an international perspective, their company rugby and the league in Japan has definitely got stronger and better, and it's created a huge amount of interest. So playing Japan is first up is a huge opportunity for us as a squad to have our first match together, having been together for a couple of weeks in terms of preparation. And we know that the way that Japan play, it's going to be, a tough match. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's great for rugby, and it's great that we can look to take the game globally in terms of promote the Lions as a brand, but also continue to develop and promote Japanese rugby, which has definitely gone from strength to strength.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Neil Barker, you're going to be the last question, I'm afraid, because we've run out of time. We've got a busy schedule today for Warren. So, Neil Barker, you will be the last question.
Thanks very much. I appreciate that. Hi, Warren. Just finally, I suppose, a good one to end on. How relieved are you that this tour is actually taking place, Warren? You know, we had a few hairy months earlier in the year, speculation it might not happen, or it might happen here in the UK. And how relieved are you that it's happening, it's taking place, and how hard is it going to be to kind of engender that usual Lions camaraderie, what will be probably some quite strict COVID protocols over there? Thank you.
Yeah, there's been massive challenges. We've probably done 4 or 5 different scenario planning exercises. Looking at Australia was an option, the UK, the amount of games, South Africa, postponement, cancellation. Been through all those different scenarios. How do we handle being in a bubble? What happens if things do open up a bit more? So look, I think the rugby will be the easiest part. That'll take care of itself. It's how do we challenge, mix the challenge up with all the other things that are going on, and the most important thing for me is to get those things right, particularly off the field, and the safety of the players is first and paramount. The mental health of the players and being in those bubbles, being away from family. How do we make sure we stay connected with family and understand the challenges that creates, and if we get those things right and we can keep the players entertained and put things on for them, which some of the teams did during the autumn in the Six Nations, and doing things a little bit different with competitions within the camp, whether that's playing pool or darts or cards or playing casino nights or sing-songs or quizzes or whatever. We've got to be creative in that area, and understand that we'll probably continue with our singing and choir practice that we've done in the past, something that was successful for us. So yeah, those kind of things are something that we need to get right, with a group. If we're either before going to South Africa, can we go out to a restaurant and take over the restaurant, or maybe to a bar and do that safely? Are the players able to get out and go and play some golf on a day off and things, or can they go fishing? I'll be definitely guided by the medical advice and what things that we can do and the protocols. But yes, those are the challenges for us, and if we get that right, we've got a good chance of doing well on tour.